If by some chance, some stroke of luck, or some act of God, you have stumbled upon this broadcast, you are listening to The Chivalry Chronicles with your host, Dr. DLH.
I'm a damn doctor.
David.
We're going to bring the tea.
refuse
To not drink during the podcast.
Yeah.
And me, Jaime.
They need to make podcast equipment a lot more expensive to get some of these clowns off the air.
Gather around as we discuss a modern, manly approach to chivalry. So I hope you're ready, because I know we are. So let's get into it.
Yeah.
There you go.
What's really nice about that sound is that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about beer. So those of you that have been following several of our podcast episodes, you may have heard the mention as far as certain types of beer that must be
Oh, you know
consumed or...
David, before we get into it, I wanted to, and on behalf of all of us, is give a shout out to that one listener, Julio, who sent us $15 to buy me a beer. So thank you so much.
Which we're currently enjoying. Thank
we
you
are
very
currently
much for that.
So Julio, appreciate it. I've known Julio for a long time. He called me one day, or actually instant message, Instagram, whatever, man. He's like, I heard your podcast. Man, it's good. Y'all keep it up. What else are you going to talk about? And so every once in a while, he'll email me, just not email me, but text me, especially when he's listening to stuff. And he's like, hey, did y'all take down that link? And I was like, no, bro, it's still there. He's like, cool. One thing about Julio, we used to play flag football, and he was basically rushed the passer. But this son of a gun had a pick six because he was rushing the passer, tipped the ball to himself, and ran it in for a touchdown. And I've always been so freaking jealous of that. But anyway, thank you, Julio. We appreciate it. We're enjoying the beers now. Keep listening. I'll get your address and we'll send you a shirt just on, for listening, and comment on it. And every time you text me, keep it up. We appreciate it. Anyway,
Yeah, that goes
back to
for
beer.
everybody. Yeah, so we are talking about beer today, and this is right as I was watching DLH take what he doesn't consider real beer and pouring it into a mug, ensuring that it has the proper amount of head at the top,
Right.
almost overflowing that mug, but he managed to get it, but that's not really beer. Now, that's what we want to talk about, DLH. So why don't you open the floor? Like, what's your position on beer?
That's a very open.
Yeah, I want this to be open because
So
we
I
go in
would say, when is the first time you were introduced to beer? What did you think about it, and how has it progressed since then?
Well, I was first introduced when I was legally of age to drink.
How old were you?
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
How old were you?
All right. I don't even know really. 16, 17? I can't remember.
Okay.
It was definitely a high school party, I assume.
What was the beer?
Man, I don't know, but I would say that if I was going to be the beer that I remember most often consuming back then would have been Budweiser.
The white can Budweiser, not Budweiser, not Bud
Like the
Light.
one
Not
that-
light. Nope. It would have with the red writing
Correct.
on it or whatever,
Yeah.
like Budweiser.
the one that requires the restroom a couple hours later.
Okay.
Well, they all.
They all kind of do, but it's
I
the
don't know
white
what he's
can,
alluding to. They all
red
require
lettering.
that.
It is super thick. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I
And
drank.
I think the lighter the beer, the more often you go to the restroom.
Yeah, so my first time really getting into beer, mostly because, of course, I think my dad, whenever I was 6 years old or something, it was like, oh, you want to try it? Try it. And then, that's terrible.
What did your dad? What did he drink?
My dad mainly would drink Michelob Light, not Ultra, but Light. So the silver top. I still love that beer. Yeah. I love that beer. So anytime I see it, I get it.
Do you love it because your dad drank it or because you love it?
No, I really enjoy that
Really?
beer. I really do enjoy that beer.
That's
now,
funny.
fast forward, I whenever I was well, I was underage that entire time, but let's say 16 through age 18, I was drinking more like mixed drinks, flavored drinks, that type of stuff. But I was 18 years old. I had just graduated high school. And over that summer is whenever I had to get the taste for beer. And the reason for that is because in Amarillo, Route 66 runs through Amarillo, and there's the street, 6th Street, which is part of Route 66, was happening. Every Friday night, it was bumper to bumper cars. If you weren't driving or cruising through that street, you were on the side just chilling and watching the cars pass. So over that summer, it was like, oh, we have a beer. And it's like, and I remember it was Bud Light and just drinking those. And probably, I don't know, about the 4th week of doing that, just kind of got a taste for beer and developed from there.
Nice.
How about you, Jaime?
Well, one other question. DLH, what did your dad drink as far as beer?
He didn't.
You didn't drink beer at all. Whiskey? What did you drink?
He did. Well, the whiskey. Whenever my dad was, he rarely drank. It was only holidays, Easter, Christmas, Thanksgiving. He always did it while manning the radio. He would play oldies on tapes that he had previously recorded.
Yeah.
He hung out there a lot. He would drink Wild Turkey. And he would have me go and serve his drinks, and so that was probably really my first experience with any drink at all. Was when I would get curious about like what is it you're drinking, and he would like taste it. And at first I didn't like it, and he would have me over time show me how to make it, and then see how it altered the flavor some whenever he would put a mixer or whatever.
Right.
And then ultimately his ultimate goal came out where it was like, go make me another drink. And now I knew exactly how to make it. But he drank turkey. I don't recall ever seeing him with a beer.
Really? My dad and all my uncles, they drink Coors back in the day.
But regular
Coors. And then later on, they started drinking Coors Light. But that's all they drank. And I remember tasting it and feeling the way you feel when you drink Coors Light. It's like, it doesn't taste like anything.
It doesn't taste like anything.
And
then why did they? Do you know why they switched? Why did they go from Coors Light to Coors Light?
I think because it got older. I don't know, but
I just wonder if is it a price thing, because Coors tastes better than Coors Light.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
So when I was growing up, my dad, old school, right? They would sit out on the porch, Friday night. They'd be out there all night, him and my uncles. And I used to, as a kid, go out there and just listen to their stories, right? Because as a kid, you're like, this is my uncle, my dad, my cousins. They were all older, and they're just out there drinking. And so I would do what you did. It's like, get us a beer. And then so I'd just go to the cooler, get it, give it to them. And I just sit there and, I'm like 10, 11, 12. My brothers, which are 4 and 5 years older, they started drinking, right? And they drank Budweiser. And that's all they drank. Like, that was it. The white can, it is thick. It is. And so when I started drinking, which I was like super young, I was like 14, it was Budweiser. And I remember the first time that I got drunk because we played football, right? We go to some park and play football, and then we just hang out at the park. And they were all drinking, so then you start drinking, right? And then my oldest brother, the prototypical alpha male I always talk about, his thing was Budweiser. And so anything else was crap to him. He's had very specific set of rules, the way he followed. And so all of us drank Budweiser, right? And it wasn't until I got to college that I tried anything else. And then anything else just tastes not as thick, not as, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then when you get
refreshing.
to college, this got a little flavor to it. It tastes like an orange and shit. Like,
well, it was good back
it.
then, but Budweiser was a good. I think for me, it was a really good
starter beer.
It was starter beer. It's exactly what I was thinking. I don't want to like insult anybody who might still drink that and like that as like, well, what? This is the best. But for me,
he still drinks it.
The way that I progressed through, like Budweiser was a really good starter beer because I felt like it was more full flavored.
So he was all Budweiser, and so we all drank Budweiser. My older brother was the one that ventured out. And, of course, my oldest brother would make fun of him. Well, why are you drinking that crap? And so my older brother would go Heineken. He would do Red Stripe. He would do Bud Ice. I mean, he'd always bring something different, and you're like, do they even sell this shit here? Like, I've never seen this can before.
Yeah,
so
it's
I
in
think
that refrigerator section you never go to.
Go to. And in Dallas, what's weird about Dallas is that at the time it was dry where we lived. And so we had to drive 20, 30 minutes. And it's actually by the State Fair, the 2nd Avenue. We had to drive all the way over there to buy beer. Beer wasn't in a convenience store. It wasn't at the gas station. So when I got to College Station, in college, right, when I went to college, and I go to the gas station, and there's just like beer everywhere. You're like, oh my God. Like, you could just walk down to the freaking gas station and get a beer. Like, that's awesome. Like, what is this great place you have here? Because what sucked is that when we were watching football, like playoffs and shit like that, you're running out of beer, right? And then you're like, we'd always coach one of our friends like, hey man, look, if you leave now, you can make it back. You'll see the second half. No big deal, dog. You just need to leave now. And they never made it back. But you'd always, kind of
barter who's going.
Yeah. So, but it was Budweiser. Budweiser for the longest. And my brother still drinks Budweiser. That's the only thing he drinks. Every time I go home and I hang out with him, he buys tons of beer. I come back with an ice chest full of Budweiser, and I will have it every once in a while, but it's kind of, I don't think, I always think it's interesting figuring out what your dad drank and then what you drank. Cause my dad was like, he thought Budweiser was like crazy.
Do you think your brothers pivoted, to Budweiser on purpose because of that? Because of what he drank, or
I have never asked him, and I think I'll probably do that because right now, so my nephew turned 21 last year, and so he drinks Budweiser because he went out drinking with my brother, and that's what his dad drinks.
Yeah,
and so I was talking to my little brother, and he's like, "Man, we need to tell." Our nephew that there's other stuff out there. if you there are other stuff with flavor and stuff like that. But to me, it's like, I mean, I know what he drinks. So if I'm there, I'll drink Budweiser with him. Like, I'm not going to be, sort of like, I'm not drinking that. But I also bring whatever I drink, right?
Yeah.
But if he offers me one, I'm like, whatever, when in Rome.
They should change their marketing, right? The gateway beer.
So fast forward to present day, like what are your top 3 common beers that you drink?
Man, top 3 common. I think that the beer I drink, it is factored by a couple of things. Like the weather is one.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
Why the weather?
I'm the same way.
Because there's some times when it's like really hot and you want something that's a bit more maybe refreshing. I enjoy sour beers, but they got to be really good, right? Like the sour beers. So I have some.
You're speaking gibberish now.
Some reliables that I will go to for that. And then there's there may be some other ones in there, some other types of ales, but they got to have a good flavor and a good spin on it. But for the most part, if it's cold, porters and stouts,
same here.
Like triples. Those are my go-to. Those are the ones I'm mostly drinking.
Yeah, I'm kind of very similar in that situation. Overall, everything that I drink that has alcohol in it is more based on the season or what it looks like outside.
Really?
Yeah. So whiskeys and so forth, as it starts warming up, I'll probably ease up on drinking whiskey. I'll still have it, but I'll ease up on it. wines, red wine. I like red wine, but I like it during fall through.
And we were talking about
spring.
this. Like, I only drink red wine when I eat steak, and that's it.
Oh,
like,
no,
I've
man.
never. My wife used to drink wine all the time, and then it just stopped. But I've never been so here's why. Because when I moved down here to San Antonio, we used to go to dinner with my in-laws. And they were big wine drinkers. And I never drank wine. Like, didn't drink wine before, don't know anything about it. And they were like, oh, try this one. And for some reason, wine gets me freaking drunk. Like, bad. I don't know what it is, but
the sugars in it.
Because we were drinking one night, and they were ordering bottles. They knew the owner, right? So the restaurant guy the owner comes out. Oh, Mr. Garza, how's it going? And then he motions the waiter like, oh, bring him that one wine, and so they just bringing wine after wine, and so I'm just drinking because all I ever drank was beer and whiskey.
With 2% ABV.
Yeah, like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I'm saying? And so I'm like, just toss them back.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, I get up and I was like, man, this is a little different right here.
Yep.
So, it's just like, to me, it's red wine. And then it was white wine. Like, I don't know what I'm drinking. I think it was some kind of Gewürztraminer, I think, or some shit.
Gewürztraminer,
Yeah. I was like, I don't know what that is, so I'll just whatever.
German white wine, really good.
Yeah,
most of the time.
But yeah, and it has a little, it's sweet. But when I eat steak, I'll drink wine, Merlot, and that's because probably the person that I ate steak once said, hey, you should try Merlot with it, and once you introduce me with something, I'm like, I'm that's it.
If it
That's
pairs
all I'm gonna
well,
do.
yeah.
I'm not jacking with that.
And that's the way I am with drinks in general. It's almost like, what's the situation? What's the season? What's the occasion?
Yeah.
And not that I put a lot of thought into it, but there's like staples like, oh, I'm going to the river. It's hot.
Because you're a thought.
I need a... So anyways, if I'm going to the river, it's hot outside. I'm probably going with like either a Lone Star Light or a Tecate Light, something that I can drink all day, and
Not get drunk.
yeah, and not get tore up. On Wednesdays, happy hours, the go-to for me is probably like a Miller Lite. I was generally more on the Bud Light side than anything, but
What happened?
Miller Lite, whenever I was 18, 19, all that, I hated it. But I was probably in my 30s whenever I finally was like, okay, I can drink Miller Lite too. I prefer it.
Yeah.
Because now, whenever I drink a Bud Light, to me, it has a sweeter taste. I almost get like a grape soda taste out of it.
Really?
Yeah.
What? That's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
So,
it is.
have you ever been faced with like a mutual friend of ours, Rob? Used to always be like, you drink that.
He really talks like that.
Yeah.
Does he?
No, he does.
Does he talk like that?
Yeah, he talks like
Yeah,
that.
he's like, oh, you drink that water stuff, and I said, bro, you drink Miller Lite. It's the same freaking thing.
Oh, yeah,
like,
it is.
there's nothing different. He's like, that's that old water stuff, Like, I was like, okay, whatever, dog. Like,
All of the light beers are.
They all taste the same.
They all
and
taste the
so
same.
if you give me a Miller Lite, I know the difference, but I'm not getting anything better with that one than with
Yeah.
this one. So to me, it's like making fun of someone that's drinking Bud Light, but you're drinking Miller Lite. Like,
yeah.
okay.
That's the pot calling the kettle
Yeah,
black.
I
as
was
it
like,
were.
look at the alcohol content is the same.
So, Jaime, how do you choose? What are your go-to beers?
So, I used to drink a shitload of Bud Light because that's what we started drinking in college. People started drinking that. Like, so when I go home, like, my brother drinks Budweiser, so that's what I used to drink. So when I went out to college, you just kind of go with the flow type stuff, and then people started buying Bud Lights. So I was like,
I think it was really popular.
yeah,
for
and I was like,
a good period of time.
whatever. Like, I don't care, And if people brought Bud Light, I was like, what? Or Miller Lite or whatever. In College Station, they had Shiner. So I tried Shiner Bock one day, and I was like,
which is even better.
Yeah, I was like, I'm cool with it. And I order Shiner when we go to Willie's, that one restaurant, just because it's always on tap. And so I walk in, I see it, I was like, Shiner. But
so one of the things we used to do in college is there was one bro who wouldn't pitch in for the keg. And,
oh my God,
and
that's
so
terrible.
when we got kegs, it's like, hey, get a Shiner because we know he hates that beer. And man, he'd be all upset over there having. Everybody was like, yeah, that's a deterrent right there.
Yeah. So like recently, well, as recently as like maybe 5 years ago, Carlos came to my house because we were having, a cookout or whatever. I was doing fajitas and chicken or whatever. And he brings Modelo, right? And it's that little stubby beer with the gold. And I was like, all right, cool, And so I had one. He's like, I try it. I was like, cool. I'd never tried it before. I was like, that's pretty good. I like that. And so then I started buying Modelo, right? Because I was like, me, if you introduce it to me, like I'm not gonna go venture out and do something weird. I'm never gonna go to the specs or whatever. You're like, oh, let's see what this tastes. I'm not doing that. It's like somebody has to be like, that's pretty good to me. Like, okay, I need somebody's like thumbs up. I'm not venturing out something I don't know. So
I'm the opposite. I'll try.
Recently,
I'll try.
Well, so whenever you brought a michelada one day,
yeah, it was the one that had the piña and stuff like that.
It was like a
mango. It had mango.
It had mango. Yeah, it was like a Texas Star. I don't know what it was.
Estrella.
An Estrella. That's right, Estrella. And you're like, oh, try it. I was like, that's pretty freaking good. And so I searched ends of the earth for that shit, and I could never find it. So I was like, I'm gonna try this Modelo one. And so that's why I started buying those Modelos. The Michelada Modelos. But you can only have like one or two, and then you got to switch over to regular beer. And then which by the way, my little brother, my older brother, my oldest brother gets a beer, and then he puts salt and all kinds of shit, right? And it's like, why not just get the lime one? Because he's like, why are you drinking that? It's like, motherfucker, as much salt as you put in your shit, it's like, it's the same thing. So I think it's, like I said, like to me, if somebody tells me about it and I try it and it's good, then I'm more apt to order it. Or like, what is it? The Blue Moon. Mm-hmm. Somebody was ordering it. I was like, oh, what's that? He's like, oh, this. And it came with an orange. I was like, that's kind of cool. So I tried it. I was like, okay, that's cool. Like I may try that, but if you leave me to my own devices, I just go back to whatever it is that I was doing before. Like right now, it's Modelo, and that's I'm stuck with. That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'll venture off and do other stuff, but to me, I don't. I like whiskey. I like Maker's Mark. I tried it. I don't know, 15 years ago. Loved it. Cool. That's all I get. I tried Buffalo Trace once. I was like, cool, that's cool, but
so
I go
you're,
back.
You're
it's a rubber band, right? It's like
I was gonna say
it's like stretch it as a tap. Let me go back to
knowing you're very much the creature of habit, right?
Yeah.
And this got kind of the pivot why I wanted to discuss this is there's been some heated battles between you and DLH. Heated
I don't know
battles.
about heated.
Yeah, it was pretty heated, like gloves off kind of thing.
So what you mean is DLH? I said to DLH, beer is beer, and the reason you tell me what you
bullshit is what.
And just to describe the room right before that bullshit came into play. DLH moved his mic closer to himself.
Oh hell!
He was
I'm
ready.
about to get real serious.
That's why I said it's heated.
Okay,
It's been heated.
I'm going to tell you why I said that. Because we were having a discussion about beer and stuff like that, and what DLH said was, well, I drink this type of beer, and so if somebody doesn't have that, then I'll just be like, no, I just won't have one. And that,
Essentially a beer snob.
Yeah, and I was like, I kind of. That should kind of piss me off. You're a beer snob, right? Because not because I am, because I'm not. I'll go with the flow. So if So I'm thinking, so if I have this beer and I offer them, so let's just say it's not DLH, it's just some random person that comes to my house and I have some random ass beer and I'll say, hey, you want a beer? And I hand it to them. They're like, ooh, no, I don't want to drink that. I'll be like, get the fuck out of my house.
But I wouldn't do that.
But you just said, you're like, no, I just won't have one.
Yes, if we're in a social context where drinking a beer is an optional thing, a party, right? Mm-hmm. And I get to choose, am I drinking, am I not drinking? And if all there is in selection is going to be these selection of light beers, then I'll just drink water or punch or whatever else you're serving. I'd rather not.
You refuse a beer?
I would just not pick one up.
See, to me, that's crazy. And so what I said, because I knew
if I'm a dinner guest at your house,
will you be sitting
offer me a beer, I'm going to accept it.
Be like, you're sitting at the kiddie table.
Even if I don't like the beer, I open it up, which has happened. I had somebody one time I went to a fraternity brother, and at his house at dinner, he gave me a Boddington's, which is a London, I think it's a London-based beer, English or whatever. Terrible. He loved this beer, so he was proud about like serving it. He's like, I think you're gonna like it. Did not one single bit, but I didn't tell him that in the moment. It was just more like, okay, next time you're in my pad,
what was his name?
I'm gonna tell you. Next time you're in my pad, like you can try a beer that I have. Well, we just went back and forth.
The way I heard it is you were a beer snob, and I was like, yeah, this conversation. So that's why I said that. I was like, man, beer is beer.
So you said it just to try and get a rise out of me.
Yeah,
essentially,
most likely.
Yeah,
and that's why, because to me, like, okay, you go to somebody's house. And they're offering you what they have. I think if they're offering you what they have, then you just accept what they have, enjoy it, and move on.
Be respectable.
Yeah, like if somebody's gonna offer me, see, that's the difference with me, right? Like I don't have I'm only gonna drink this beer. No, it's like if you offer me a Miller Lite, which David, I mean, his go-to is Miller Lite. And so if I know David's coming over, I'll buy Miller Lite. I don't give a shit, right? But if it's just me, I'll buy Modelo. If somebody offers me a Bud Light, I'm like, cool, whatever.
Okay, but now you're talking about etiquette versus preferences. I'm never like you. I mean, I would like to think that anyone who knows me and has ever had me over their house, I'm not rude. I am certainly not going to insult. Whatever
you sounded pretty rude that day.
No,
you sounded pretty.
I'm not going to insult. I'm gonna go with it and be respectful because. Like you're there and you're serving me, I'm gonna accept that.
But the scenario was if you get offered a beer, you're like, well, I just won't drink it.
We were in a social context where there is more of a party atmosphere, and if I get to select whatever I want, I would just choose not to drink those beers. It's just not for me. It's not something that I enjoy doing. Right? When if I'm
drinking, a beer snob, right?
You can call it that if you want, sure, and I will gladly own that. I would gladly own that.
What would you call it?
I would just say that at this point, I'm selective in what I choose to drink.
That's a beer snob.
Okay, fine. Then so be it. But when I, like I told you in coming up when I first experienced beer, right? And I was drinking Budweiser. I liked it in the beginning. When I got into college, everyone there, like you mentioned, what beer did you say you were drinking when you would go get kegs over there or at College Station?
Shiner.
Okay, so anything like that is a big upgrade because I was always drinking Milwaukee's Best.
That was high school.
The cheapest shit.
Yeah, that was high school.
You can get anywhere, and it was not good.
Where my snob kicked in is on those beers, the Bud Ice, the Natural Light.
Bud Ice has a shitload of freaking alcohol.
Yeah, but
Natural Light and all those
without the flavor or whatever.
I just would never do them. I couldn't do it.
We would drink that Milwaukee's Best. I was like, this is
it was
gross.
Quality over quantity. Like that was the question: quality or quantity. We always chose quality. Not DLH's quality. We would choose Budweiser.
But quality at the time.
At the time,
yes.
Yeah. Now, if somebody brought Milwaukee's Best, you're like, well.
I can't even say we. Whoever was making the decision, right? Yeah. But Milwaukee's Best was something that we drank. It was like. It was bad. I was already just kind of new to beer in general.
Yeah.
And that's a way to get me back off of it, right? Like, this is bad.
Beer snob.
And I also, at the time, was so inexperienced that I couldn't tell you if I was drinking skunky beer. Now I can. But back then I couldn't. And maybe that contributed to the bad flavor or whatever. So anyway, when you fast forward and I start drinking beer on my own as a legal adult drinking it, Modelo was good. Shiner was good. Like all of these beers, right? But as if you keep on flashing forward to the next stage, I would then start with like Blue Moon, and then started going into Belgian beers. And then when I got into like that Belgian, I really liked the flavor that was in there. A lot of those beers have a higher ABV, so I was getting a much like richer, in my view, much richer flavor with a higher ABV, which meant you didn't need to drink as many beers.
That's the whole fun part of it.
To enjoy. I'm just never been a fan of drinking 25 beers and having to, go to the restroom 35 times. I'm okay just taking a beer that's got really good flavor, higher ABV because of it, and it will take me twice as long to drink that.
You ever been out to Legacy Weekend?
Yes.
We drink about 20 beers.
But then ultimately what winds up happening, right? I either have some of my own beers, which I will drink. I drink some of the other ones on occasion, but then I move over to whiskey so that I can slow down the drinking and enjoy the flavor of what I'm drinking. That's why
you got me in trouble with that whiskey though. Because I stopped drinking beer and I did straight up whiskey.
That's why. And then it slows you down and you enjoy the flavor and all of that stuff. That's pretty much all it gets to.
Well, see, the thing with me, and I always have to watch this, is I have to be drinking something. Now, it doesn't have to be alcohol, right? But like all damn day, I'm drinking water, I'm drinking tea, I'm drinking coffee, and a lot of it. Like, yes, I'm running the restroom quite a bit.
Yeah.
But it's just more to, I guess, I don't know if it's a habit or I have to quench my thirst regularly.
Is it thirst or is it an oral fixation?
Oh,
dang.
Damn.
I didn't know you were thinking that in your head.
Well, most people that constantly have to have something in their mouth have an oral fixation.
Yeah, but that would be you though.
We're gonna go Freudianism.
Well, I think you need to stay hydrated, folks.
Definitely stay hydrated.
Yeah, which in turn makes you.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
But I think ultimately what I'm saying is that when I started opening up to different types of beers, and then I started finding some that have higher flavor, not just because they had higher ABV, but because they have more flavor to it in my point of view, right? And then like from the Belgian, I started going a little darker. What are these beers? What do they taste like? What the hell does this mean when you're getting a porter or a stout or a triple or a quadruple? Like, what do these things mean? Why is the ABV higher? What is the taste profile? And then what happens when you get another microbrewery who changes the taste profile by adding something else? So I found enjoyment in the journey of this whole experience, and then I came away with that with the beers that I enjoy the most. And if I'm going to bother drinking it, like if I'm selecting, I'm going to select the things I know I like to drink.
Well, yeah, but yes, I mean that was never the question whether you're selecting. Yeah, if I'm selecting, I'm gonna get what I want. The question was like, if you get offered one, and you said, "Nah, I'd just rather not drink." To me, that
last part is what really is.
I guess,
hurtful.
but maybe we just misunderstood each other in the context.
No, you misunderstood the question.
Perhaps, but that's the same thing I just said. We just had a miscommunication in the question.
No, I think there needs to be chingazos.
That's the thing. I say we had a miscommunication, and he's like, "No, you misunderstood."
No, I understood perfectly.
Well, of course, but I understood my side perfectly. You didn't, so we had a miscommunication. You see how that works? Because communication is reciprocal.
No, absolutely not. Because the question was this: your answer, you changed it. You know what I'm saying?
No, I did not change the answer.
No, what I
didn't
said,
give the specific context.
No, I said, no, I remember the conversation. I said, so if you get offered a beer and it's one of these, you're like, well, I'd rather not drink.
We were in a social setting.
No.
You didn't specify.
No. I did, because that's why I was like, beer's beer. And because I knew that would piss him off. So, well, here's why.
It's the level of petty right here.
No, it's not petty. Here's why, right? If I go to somebody's house and I get offered whatever it is, I just think you take it, enjoy it, and move the fuck on. I mean, that's it.
Have a Coke and a smile.
Well, yeah, have a Coke and a smile.
Where I think that DLH messed up was adding essentially, well, I'd rather not drink than what you're offering. That it's that piece of it. I think ultimately, if you said, "Oh, I'm good," and left it at that, it eliminates the reason. Is because your beer sucks.
I think maybe the offering part. I'm not going to go anywhere and insult anyone. Not going to do that.
You just insulted me right now.
Well, you deserve it though. But again, if I go to some like party, social function, something like that, and what's out there is going to be your Coors Light, Miller Lite, Bud Light, or whatever. I just don't see myself being like, oh man, I just really want to drink, so let me have one of those. When I know I don't enjoy it, I don't enjoy those beers.
I mean, I don't think any one of us here is an alcoholic.
That's that's more where I was thinking. Is like if I have an option of selecting that, I would just rather not drink in that moment. I'm just not going to drink beer, and I would drink water, Kool-Aid, whatever else is there.
Beer snob.
And I'll take that. I'll accept that because I know that as I have evolved in my palate for beer, for whiskey, for wine, for coffee, like those, I'm going to choose the things I like to drink. And the things that I know I don't like, I'm going to avoid those. Unless I'm at a dinner party and somebody offers it to me, then I'm just going to accept
But that's a different conversation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say, we should probably do a podcast, and I think we break it down by
We are doing a podcast. Right now. It's happening.
No, but
we're on live.
Specifically,
look up. We're currently
specifically as it relates to drinks by occasion or drinks by situation.
Yeah,
and kind of go through that list because I'm curious, but that'll go into a whole different.
For example,
angle.
I don't like champagne. I think it's terrible. But if I'm at a wedding and they're passing around champagne, I will drink it and toast the groom. And
what about sparkling wine?
I don't like that either. Like I just, you know what I'm saying? Like mimosas. People are like, oh, let's go get mimosas, and I'm like, cool, let's go, and I'll drink the shit. But if it's me, like that, do you like champagne? Like I think it's terrible.
No, champagne is good, but you have to see. This is why you explore. They're not all the same. Champagne, sparkling wine, Prosecco.
Every single champagne I've ever had, I've never liked.
But because if you get legitimate champagne and you get one that's dry, it's a very different feel than if you get a sparkling wine that is semi-sweet, or maybe it's full sweet, right? That comes from a different region. Like those, it's going to change the flavor.
Well, and DLH, to kind of pivot back to the subject though on beer. So specifically, because that what you're saying equates to beer too.
To beer, to
it's
whiskey,
the experience.
to all the things.
I'm similar. I'm similar in the mindset that you are in terms of I enjoy the journey, the new experiences, in testing the waters. So if I'm at a place, all beers cost the same, and I'm going to choose one, I'm probably going to try something that I haven't tried yet, just to have that experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone
I don't think you're saying that either.
Yeah, so
I don't
like
think you're saying
for
that.
example, I used to work over there off of Desval and I-10, and my coworker is a young kid. Actually, he plays golf with us every year. He's like, "Hey man, we're gonna go over here. Let's go have a beer." I was like, "Cool, where are you going?" It's Big Hops. I was like, "All right, never been there. Let's go." And so he's like, "I'm gonna order beer." I was like, "Cool." He's like, "Let's go up to the bar." I was like, "Great." And then I look at the freaking menu, and it's like gibberish up there. They're like, "Oh yeah, they change the menu every week. Like you never get the same thing anytime." I was like, "So what the hell do I order then?" Because I mean, I don't know. And he's like, "What do you normally drink?" I said this. And he's like, "Okay, well, stick with the American ales." And I was like, "Well, which one?" There's like 10 up there. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so I picked one, and I said, "Okay." So I drank that one, and then I drank another one, then I drank another one.
Didn't feel good.
All different ones?
No, I stuck with that one.
So you just stayed with the same. Why didn't you?
Because
try
I don't know what the other ones are.
Yeah, but that's how you find out.
So I like this one.
But what if you like the next one more?
What if I don't like it?
Then you know, and you mark it off the list.
Well,
and then
yeah, but I spent $8.
Well, then also a lot of times they'll give you that sample where you can kind of
So I did ended up trying like 2 or 3, but even after that, I got up and I was like, because I didn't know that they have more alcohol, right? And I was like, oh shit, this is this is a little stronger than normal.
Yep.
But I'm not opposed to drawing but I need somebody's
About or something about
just like movies or just like a book or or if I like an author, then I'm gonna read some of his other stuff. If I like this director, then I'm gonna watch the other stuff because this is this I consider this guy to be a good director. Mm-hmm. Just like certain beers, right? But that time, like and actually, I've never gone back to that place. We used to go all the time when I worked there, but since I no longer work there, and it's I don't even know where there's another Big Hops. So, it's to me, it's like, I mean, I don't mind going out in the outskirts and shit, but you leave it to me, I'm coming back here and drinking this because I know this is good and I like it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So then what's the takeaway? What's the board approved here?
The board approved?
Yeah.
Beer's beer.
No.
I object to that.
Yeah, I definitely object to that.
Here's the board approved. If you get offered a beer by someone, just drink the beer. And
yes, yeah. I think that's true. But that could be also a board approved on if we do an episode on etiquette.
Absolutely, we need to do one on etiquette.
Yeah, but this one's specifically on beer.
Yeah, beer's beer.
Beer is not. Damn it.
So tell me what your board approved is.
Explore, find what you like, and drink that.
And drink the shit out of it.
And drink that. I'm not going to say drink the shit out of it, but drink that.
But that's what I did, and you're like, well, drink the other one. No,
but that's not it. You were more like judging me for liking something different. And then I'm like, why?
But in my story, I said, I picked this one and I like this, so I drank that one. You're like, why don't you try the other one? I was like, because I like this one.
I didn't have a problem with that. You had a problem with
no. In my story, in the story, I just said, you're like, why didn't you try the other one? I was like, because I like this one. You're like, well, maybe you like the other one more. So your board approved is like,
yeah, but you had to try a new one in order to know that
I
you
did
liked
try
it.
it.
Okay.
And I liked it.
All right. Now
so I ordered another one.
But, and you can absolutely do that in the moment.
I explored. I tried what I liked, and I drank the shit out of it.
And you stuck with it, yes. Okay, good. And then the next time you go somewhere, you see an American ale, and it's like, that one's a little different than last time. Let me try it or taste it or whatever. Because
if they don't have that one, I'm out.
Then you're then I'm going, do you have a Bud Light? Yeah, no.
Yellow Modelo.
I think venture out, explore.
By the way, Yingling sucks too. I tried Yingling, and it's terrible. It was bad.
Well, maybe some people out there like it.
Rob does.
There's some people.
Like, get that Yingling. And I was like, man. And I did because he
he likes PBR too.
He does like. And honestly, I was laid off from my job, right? And PBR is cheap as hell. So I started buying PBR. Because, if you broke, just say so,
But don't drink Milwaukee's Best.
The Beast, boy.
Just stick with water.
No. Water don't get you drunk.
Well, then
you got to drink a lot of it, then you die.
Go with something else. Plan more dinner parties and drink their beer.
Drink NyQuil. That's about enough alcohol content.
That's a bad message, sir. Explore, find the beer that you like, and
refine. I think refine occasionally, or no, explore occasionally.
Explore occasionally.
I would say explore because I mean,
occasionally.
Hell, even if you explore, then you might find that that Budweiser is your beer of choice.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just what you like to do.
Yeah, I think find some go-tos that are yours.
Yeah.
But occasionally explore and refine your taste.
Absolutely. Like if I go to Big Hops again, I'm going to be like, what's an American ale? Because that's basically the only thing I've ever tried beyond what I know. Like some of the other, because we went to the Ghost Note or whatever I was telling you about.
Oh, yeah.
And they had just a shitload of stuff. So I just tried a flight. It was like 6 beers.
Now, why don't you try an Irish ale and English ale?
Because I've never been in a situation where I could order it.
Next podcast.
Yes.
Roadmap. Yeah. We're going to go to a brewery on location.
That Ghost Note was actually pretty good. Like I tried that flight and 3 of them sucked, but that one was okay.
Well, and sometimes that's all you really need, right? Yeah. And then you
do some blind taste tests too.
We should go on remote. Like we should take our mics and go have a beer tasting session live.
Because I think we can certainly agree that not all beers are
beer.
Beer is not beer. Not all beer is equal.
Yeah. So listeners, we're curious. Where do you stand on this? Or do you explore drink? And venture out? Are you more into beer is a beer? Just give me any beer. It's good.
And that link is open, right? So if you want us to try a certain beer, feel free to contribute to that and specify, and we'll try that beer.
We offer free delivery and pickup.
We will try that beer on a future episode. And
so Julio, if you have any suggestions, I'll go buy it and bring it for the guys, and then we will do a taste test while we do a podcast.
Yeah, blinded.
Yeah, I don't know about blind. But
as a segment, I don't know about
blind. We'll drink blind.
Yeah,
we're gonna drink ourselves blind.
We'll close our eyes right before we drink.
Yeah. All right, there you go. Board approved. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on your social media, and/or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from us, you can follow us on Instagram and X. So thanks again, and we'll see you next time.